All right, if you're prepping for the CPA exam, you're going to want to listen up. We're about to break down a topic that isn't just for the IT folks anymore, relational databases. Seriously, this is a core skill for any modern CPA who needs to understand data analytics. So let's jump right in.
And hey, don't just take my word for it. This quote from the AI CPA's own material really hits it home. The game has totally changed. Knowing how data is put together is now just as fundamental as knowing your debits and credits. Yeah, it's that important.
Okay, so here's what we're going to cover. We'll kick things off with why this stuff matters so much right now. Then we'll break down the basic parts of a database, see how they all link up, and most importantly, we'll connect everything back to what you'll actually see on the CPA exam.
You know, the job of a CPA has changed a lot. It's not just about financial statements anymore, is it? These days, you're expected to dig into everything from customer data to supply chain info to find real business insights. And, you guessed it, the CPA exam has changed right along with it. They're definitely testing you on these skills.
So how do we make sense of all this information? Well, it all starts with something called structured data. The easiest way to think about it is to picture a super clean, perfectly organized spreadsheet, but like on steroids. This is that clean, sortable foundation you need to do any real analysis. And that's exactly where relational databases come into play. They're pretty much the gold standard for handling tons and tons of structured data. And to talk to these databases, we use a special language called SQL. Think of it as how you ask the database a question to get exactly what you need. This whole organized system is why it's so vital for accounting and analytics.
Okay, enough theory. Let's make this real. We're going to use a super simple bookstore example to walk through the 4 key parts of a database. These are the things you really need to get.
All right, so take a look at this. This whole thing you see here is our starting point.
This whole grid, it's called a table. It's basically the main bucket that holds all our data. And honestly, the best way to wrap your head around it is to think of a spreadsheet, right? Only it's way more powerful and organized. This one here is designed to hold just one specific type of information. All the books are store cells.
Okay, so that's the table. Now let's zero in on the columns. These columns here, the book ID, title, author, and so on, in database speak, we call these attributes. They just describe a characteristic of the items in our table. And here's the part you really need to remember. Every single attribute has a specific data type. Title has to be text, price has to be a number, and the database is a real stickler for these rules. It won't let you mix them up.
All right, so columns are the categories, but what about when you look at a single row?
Well, one single row is called a record. Think of it as the complete file for one specific thing. It's all the attributes bundled together for that one entity, like all the details for Book A.
And let's drill down one last time to just a single piece of information. That one little piece of data right there, the price 20, that's called a field. It's just the specific value you find where a row and a column meet. So let's recap real quick. You've got the big table, which is made up of records or rows. Each record has different attributes or columns, and in each spot you have a field. Got it? Those are the basic building blocks.
But look, having one nice, neat table is just the start. The real magic, the reason we call it a relational database, is that you can connect lots of tables together. And the way we do that is with these special things called keys.
Okay, check out this customers table. We need a way to make sure every single customer is unique, right? No mix-ups. In this table, the customer ID does that job. Because it's the one thing that uniquely points to each customer, we call it the primary key.
So, how do we link this to their orders? It's actually pretty clever. Look at this orders table. See how customer ID shows up again? Now, it's not the main ID for this table. That's what order ID is for. Instead, it's acting like a breadcrumb, a link that points right back to our customers table. And when a primary key from one table shows up in another one like this to make a connection, we call that a foreign key.
So let's break that down. A primary key is the unique ID in its home table. It can't be blank, and it can't be repeated, period. A foreign key, on the other hand, is just a copy of that primary key living in a different table to build that bridge between them. And it can be repeated, right? Because one customer can obviously have more than one order.
All right, that's the technical stuff. But what you really want to know is, how does this help me pass the exam? Good question. Let's switch gears and talk about exactly how the test makers are going to test you on this.
Here's the big tip for exam day. When you see a data table on the test, it's not a reading comprehension question.
They're not just checking if you can read it, they're testing if you can analyze it, and specifically if you can spot what's wrong with it.
And they're not subtle about it. The study materials say it flat out. The AI CPA wants to see if you can find mistakes in the data. This goes right back to what we were just saying about data types. You've got to have your detective hat on, looking for data that just doesn't belong in a column.
Let me show you exactly what I mean. Look at this order value column. It's supposed to have a number, a dollar amount, right? But check out that second row. It says pending. That's text. A real database would immediately throw an error flag. But on the exam, you have to be the one to catch it. That's the critical thinking skill they're looking for.
Okay, so let's zoom out. This isn't just about exam points. This is about what it means to be a modern CPA. You're basically a guardian of data integrity. Being able to spot things that look weird, to ask the right questions about the data, and to get how it's all put together, that's what's going to make you incredibly valuable to your clients and your firm.
So I'll leave you with this to think about. The next time you're looking at a nice, clean financial report, try to look past the final numbers. Ask yourself, what's going on underneath? What kind of tables, what kind of relationships had to be built to make this report possible? When you start thinking that way, you're really on your way to becoming a truly data-driven CPA.